어, Hello, good morning.
Hello, Professor. Uh,
Hi, how are you doing?
I am fine. How are you?
Good. Uh, the the picture's good. It's kind of light. Can you make it darker? Is that possible? It's no
Uh,
big deal. It's no big deal. It's it
I will
just
try
se-
to make it.
yeah, it just seems a little light, you know what I mean?
Just give me a few minutes.
Yeah, it's no big deal. It looks fine.
Is
That's
it better?
fine. That's fine. Yeah, that's good. That's good. So yeah, don't expect big numbers. As I told you from
I
the start.
definitely. It's just
Yeah.
a discussion between you and me for the start.
That's okay.
You are good.
Well, it's a lot of people watch it and don't register. They watch it on YouTube because really I advertise to watch it on YouTube because it's easier. But maybe I should stop doing that, and make people come in to watch it or whatever. But it's going to be archived. All the three are going to be put together, and we'll continue to advertise it as a series. That's when people watch it from the YouTube channel, not necessarily today, but they may want to watch all three together, and they can do that after it's over without being here, which is a big advantage to have a list of. We put it on what's called a playlist. Let me show you. Are you familiar with playlists at all?
Yeah, I am familiar.
Okay, yeah, let me just educate you a little bit. Let me screen share. Okay. Okay, here we are in my YouTube channel. See, as you can see, we're live,
Yeah.
but there's the playlist. That's where like things with a list. For example, I did one from Jacksonville. Just this is an example. They had 3 days, and it's in a list, and it makes it convenient for people to watch the whole thing at once. Uh, because they're not really long videos, but that's an option that we use with something like this, with something that has, is valuable information,
Yeah.
especially for people on the go. But so how you been? You've been busy. Today is let's see, Tuesday, like regular office day for you.
Yeah, regular office days today.
Uh,
Around,
d- you just
yeah.
finished, or are you still going on?
Still going on.
Oh,
Uh, yeah. I
so
worked at two places, so one place is finished now, and after this, I will try to do something else.
oh, really? You got another office you go
Yeah.
to? Oh, wow, it's a long day, and you'll be finishing at hold on. I got someone raising their hand. Okay. You got, oh, I'm raising my hand. Okay. That's not me. Oh, okay. I just bumped that accidentally. Change my screen. So how many offices you got?
Uh, Two.
Okay, so
This is my home
wow.
office, or actually, like a study where I do like programming as well as reading if I want to. And there is one office at my private hospital and one in the college. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Because even though people aren't coming here, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the advertisement on What's Up, but it came out well, I thought. And let me share the screen, what it looked like. Uh, hmm, when I want to try to find it, I can't find it. There, you see this?
Yeah.
I didn't plan it. It just came out that way.
Okay.
Put your name, your picture, and then put the description. I'm a neurosurgeon. I'm interested in doing some healthcare related MLD learning work related to my field. So you're getting some advertising there.
It's nice.
And even though people don't come to see it, they say, oh, maybe I'll check this out later. Uh, and because I put here, don't worry, if you cannot attend, the 3 webcasts we put on a playlist where all 3 can be watched at your convenience. Okay, so you should, hopefully you'll get some attention from this, from people, to let them know that you're available to do stuff.
True.
Because, unlike most neurosurgeons, I don't know the place of it, and therefore I don't see any need for it. However, if I see the place for it, and as neurosurgeons, you know that if they see something they like that they can use, they use it. If they see something they don't like, they don't use it, period. So, as you know, eventually I think most neurosurgeons will become pretty educated about what they can do with artificial intelligence. There'll be a period of education,
True.
and most people won't accept it immediately, but if their friends start doing it, they'll do it, you know. Great. Oh, okay, we got a couple of people here, finally. Good morning, Sarin Kanta, how you doing? Oh, she didn't want to come in. And there'll be some people that just don't want to come in. Then they just want to watch it. So why don't we start, okay?
Okay.
Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good morning. Hold on. You gotta get off the screen share, please. I've got to introduce you. Because I want people to see your face. And then you can go to, okay?
Okay.
Okay, we'll try again. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Good morning. This is Dr. John Bennett broadcasting from beautiful Miami Beach. It's dark here now. It's 6:30 in the morning. Welcome to a set of three webcasts, a series done by Bushan Thromby, a neurosurgeon from Mumbai, that I was surprised to learn he started computers before having interest in medicine at, I believe, at 10 years of age. So he has a pretty deep learning, and he does a lot of it now. So he'll tell you all about it. Welcome, Bushan. It's all yours.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, John. I will just share my screen.
Perfect,
Okay.
perfect.
So, first of all, I would like to thank you, Professor John, for inviting me on this beautiful platform, Neurosurgical TV. It has been like immensely helpful for me as a person when I was doing my residency 3 years back. The quality of our material and the exposure we get from it is beautiful. So it's my very pleasure to be here today presenting on this topic. So in this series of 3 days, we will be learning about artificial intelligence, particularly in context of neurosurgery. We will be learning where do we stand and how we move forward. The first day, we will understand about the basics of AI and what are the moving parts in it. And it won't be particularly on neurosurgery basics, but it will cover a whole lot of things which will help you understand how to read any AI related paper, be it in neurosurgery or outside of it. So that's going to be the first day. On second day, we will see how I particularly utilize AI in my project. And one of the project we will discuss for that, for which I have been awarded recently a Young Neurosurgeon Award at WFNS at Cape Town. On the third day, we will understand what other people are doing in this field of AI in context of neurosurgery and how we can implement those things into our practice as well as in research. So hope these 3 days will be helpful to you. So today we will be focusing on understanding the basics of artificial intelligence, and we will actually see what actually it means when we say the AI is behind it, because it's just a term if we think about it, and generally we think that it is just a mind which is working and giving you the answers, but it's what actually is happening. We will try to identify and learn few of the basics today. And we will also see few of the algorithms which are commonly used in machine learning as well as deep learning. So let's start. Introducing myself, I am Dr. Bhushan Thomre. I did my MS from Nair, Mumbai, and MCH from Nimans, passed out in 2020. And I am doing Python programming as well as Dart for Android programming, Arduino for electronics projects, and C++ since my 10th grade now. And for ML or machine learning and deep related modeling, I'm doing since 7 years now. During residency, I did my thesis on AI Squash, which is a similar project to this, which we will discuss in detail tomorrow. Along with that, I am also working on other projects like AI in traumatic brain injury, data analysis with ML for chronic subdurals, and majority of my work is focused on convolutional neural network and transformer systems. My goal is to implement this kind of things into practice and as well as research. So, why actually you should care about AI, particularly for neurosurgeons? So, as you may know, there are at least 4.8 lakh papers just published on or indexed on PubMed, and the number of papers are increasing day by day. If we include other scopuses like Google Scholar and others one, the staggering number of neurosurgical paper goes to 22 lakhs, which is difficult to read, let alone comprehend and implement and act upon it for any single human being. On top of that, there are 1,500 patents just related to neurosurgery in a single country. So it's not that easy for a single person to read and implement and gather data about a particular field altogether. So this AI can help you cater or segregate or filter that data and give you some kind of comprehensible and easy to understand ideas if we implement and to practice in the future. And nowadays, our outcome measures are just not mortality, morbidity. We have to look forward like other parts of the patients, like legality while doing your surgeries, as well as the insurance and social aspects, how to communicate with the patient, how the patient reacts. All these things can be managed with AI, different kind of AIs and research. So our aim is to improve the accuracy, planning, simulation, guidance, and monitoring as we move forward with this technology. So where do we stand at now? So all of us know about ChatGPT. Whoever is even slightly aware about this AI thing. And we know that the model currently used by ChatGPT is GPT-4, which is the underlying model, which is a very advanced natural language processing model by OpenAI. And it has started understanding images, text table, whatever you throw it at on a comprehensive, like on a mental level rather than as an actuator. And if you give him something like that, describe and produce an image of a successful doctor who likes traveling, nice car, spending images, and it will throw you this beautiful images in the bin. So that's where we stand. But how do we use it and how it starts and how it actually begins is a very different story. Uh, Alan Turing first in 1946 conceived this idea that as there were very preliminary computer machines at that time on which he himself worked, and as soon as the computer was invented, the idea came to his mind that how to make computer or any machine as intelligent as a human being. So the idea of an artificial intelligence is as old as a invention of a computer. And maybe before that also, many philosophers have imagined or wrote about this. But that 1946 was the first proof where we have started our journey on research in AI. The term AI was coined in Dartmoor by one committee which was headed by Jock McCarthy in 1956. And forward from that, we have progressed a lot from artificial intelligence to machine learning and deep learning. As you can see in this image, artificial intelligence is a broad category. And in that category, there is a smaller category of machine learning. And from this machine learning, very few ideas which goes to capabilities to reach human level are generally called as a deep learning models. So from from AI to deep learning, that was a huge journey, but it was not like that for a long time. In 1980s, we have, as a human, as a species, has hit a AI cold winter, where we have stopped almost any progress in AI for next 20 years. Although there were a lot of research going on, but the implementation of that was not possible because we did not have at that time stronger machines to calculate those kind of results. It all broke down in 2000 when there was internet boom, and again the pace of AI increased, and from 2010 it's growing like crazy. So first of all, we need to understand what is the difference between conventional algorithms, what we implement in our research, and what is the difference between AI algorithms. So as I told, this is going to be a little bit basic lecture on AI. So we have to start here. In conventional algorithms, we feed the data and we tell that these rules to be applied on that data. Like if there is a table, we tell that do this kind of this mean on this data, do this kind of results, and we interpret those answers according to that. But in AI, it's totally different. We feed the data and we tell him that these are the expected answers, and then we sort of in a model is there which act as a like a you can imagine as a brain, and we tell it to train on that data and identify if this is the data and this is the result. You have to find the rules in between to get to that answers. And once we are confident enough during the training that this model is able to generate this kind of answers, the next step is to feed it new data to get different answers from that. So that's how it differs from conventional algorithms. There are a few terms we should be aware about before dwelling into deep of AI, which are the basics to understand. The must know terms like supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning, AI, neuron, AI network, decision bounded, etc. You should know. And the deep learning names like CNN, LSTM, SVMs also, or transformers, you should be aware about. SVM is a ML model. So we will go and try to understand the basics of this term, and then we will in the next 2 days we will understand how we can implement those models into our practice. So first of all, we need to understand what are the different methods, learning methods, if we give a brain or the model, how it's learning. So imagine that there are these blue boxes or some kind of black boxes which are capable of learning something of its own. Given some kind of inputs, and we expect the output as the answers, as I told before. So in supervised learning, we provide both data as well as labels. Like we give him that this is the data, like this is the height of boys in the class, and we ask that whatever the answers we want, we tell that this belongs to that group. So the labels will also be given, and we expect that it should predict those labels as an output. And during this training phase, we expect it. There is a mechanism called as a critic mechanism or back propagation, which calculates the error between the actual output what is required as well as the output what is generated by the model. And the difference is calculated as an error, and that way it learns of its own. We will dwell into details in future slides. This is called as a supervised learning because we are giving data as well as labels to it. But if we are giving just data to it and not even labels, then it is called as unsupervised learning because we are not supervising what's the output are. We will feed the data to the model, and it's up to the model how it is going to categorize those data points. We will see an example of it to have a better understanding for unsupervised learning. But the downfall of this is that as you are not giving the labels, the output classes also are unlabeled. It will be just labeled as 0, 1, 2, 3. So it's up to humans to understand and interpret those labels and how we can utilize into your practice. The another model can be a reinforcement learning model. It is completely different kind of model, which is actually used many a times, mostly in robotics, where we give action and states. Like these are the imagine a robot which is seeing something on his platter, and there are some actions like he can pick up the blue cubes or he can pick up the red cubes. So these are the possible actions. So the reinforcement learning model, we give the states, and the model has to decide by itself what actions it should take next to achieve a particular goal. So this kind of training, mostly in robotics, it's done, and it's called as a reinforcement learning model. So there are various different kinds of model. So we cannot go in each one of them, and I'm not expert in each one of them. But as a programmer, I can explain you few of the things which are required. In the ML models, the majority of the things which we should be able to understand, the basics are taught us in statistics. Like we should understand what the Markov process is. It is just a probability-based algorithms, and it's very successful algorithm now, Markov process, and it's a kind of marvel if we read about it. The second is our favorite Naves bias, where our whole statistics is based on. There is then the next level things of linear regression and logistic regression, which are used for different kinds of data to get an output, which are the basic forms of algorithms. Then there are proper ML algorithms like support vector machines, which we will learn about today, decision trees and random forest, and we will learn how they act and how they work. There are other models like K-means clustering and principal component analysis. The job of principal component analysis is like you have a series of imagine that you have a series or a master table of 20 elements of data which you have collected, and you want to predict something like a mortality or morbidity. But you don't know actually of this 20 what parameters has the maximum effect on the output. So PC analysis can help you reduce those to 5 or 6 or whatever number you want to get the maximum output from the smallest number of parameters. Reducing the number of parameters or number of inputs is one of the most important thing while considering a successful building of ML algorithms, because as you implement each and every single data point is increased, the complexity of calculation increases exponentially. We will see this soon. The other models are like a graph theory method, which are used by Facebooks and all. And the newer methods like Monte Carlo methods and Q-learning are used in reinforcement learning. So let's now see what are the different deep learning models. So there are various deep learning models for different kinds of work. Like if you want some kind of correlation between the data which is already seen and what the new data is coming, we have to use something called as a recurrent neural networks or a long-term, short-term memory methods. This is like if you are seeing a video or speaking about something, then you should know about what has already been spoken or what has already been seen to interpret the results, like knowing a context about the things. So if these are our goals, then we have to use these kinds of model. For image analysis, we have to use convolutional neural network and all of its variants. The newer methods are like attention networks and hybrid networks can also be implemented with these lower models to have a more efficient outcome. So these are all complicated things, but don't worry, we need not understand this fully, just a basic of it. If you know, then you can implement it into your practice with some reading. So that was based on algorithms, but on a practical basis, we can divide ML algorithms based on tasks. Like here on the left, you can see there can be a task of classification. So like you decide while doing any research project, you have to decide what your statistical outcome should be. Like that, we have to decide before building a ML model or deep learning model, what kind of outputs or what kind of things you want that model to perform. So there can be a models like classification model where you want to segregate one class from the other class, like from the red to blue, or from a mortality of 6 months to mortality of 7 months, or 1 year. That's what, if we want to segregate those kind of patients, this model are at the work. The second kind of like regulation, as you all know, like a linear regression. If you want your data to be linear, if you want to measure exactly if these are the parameters, then we want to predict for how many months the patient might survive, or then this kind of problems are with regression. Like if the output will be in terms of actual value, like the patient is going to survive for 3 months, 6 months, 10 months, whatever. So these kind of problems are regression model. There are different things like clustering, like grouping of different kinds of patients who have shown different kinds of measures or outputs. Also, there can be generative modelings, like producing new kind of data while doing your modeling. So also, as I told you about dimensionality reduction, like if you have like tens and thousands of columns into your data, you can reduce it with this kinds of modeling of dimensional reduction. Similarly, there are models for natural language processing, like ChatGPT, speech and vision models, like VGG and all, can be utilized to identify like histopathological images, radiological images, like whatever, like radiogenomics you must have heard, this kind of models are used in that. So now we will go into little deep and understand what few of the most used machine learning algorithms work. John, everything okay as of now?
Yeah, perfect. Everything's very good.
Okay, fine. So if anybody has question, please you can raise your hand. We can stop anytime and take few questions there and there itself, rather than to have all questions at the end. That will be really good.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. This is very informal. If you want to say something, just ask. No problem. If not, we'll just continue on.
Definitely.
Anybody have any comments or questions before Bush then continues? No, I guess not. Okay, onward.
Okay. So the first algorithm which we should understand is the simplest of it, called as a support vector machine. So imagine that you have two kind of data. Imagine if you have a school where there are different heights of pupils, and you have to predict their sex from the height. So let's say you have taken the height of all the students, and all the girls are in the left lower zone, and the boys are on the right upper zone. Not to distinguish, but just for this example, imagine that. From the height, we are trying to predict the sex. So if this is the kind of data we are getting, then the ML algorithm's goal is to identify this margin in between, that maximal margin of line. This is generally called as a decision boundary. So this boundary separates one kind of cluster from the other cluster. And once this boundary is identified, then whenever the new data is given to this model, it will predict that if it is in the right upper quadrant of this line, then it will tell that no, it is this kind of sex is there. And if it is in the left lower corner, then it will tell that it belongs to the left lower zone of green dots. So this is the support vector machines. Now, this line between this dotted line is called as hyperplanes, and the difference between this maximal margin hyperplane and negative hyperplane tells you that how much margin of error we can have between the two. Generally, this kind of data never exists, and there is almost always there is some kind of mixing of labels between two groups, and this line might not be straight. It might be squiggly around, going from here till here, here, like that. So identifying that fine line is the job of AI learning. This part is called as a training part, by the way. So before going forward, we should understand what are the basic terms like supervised learning and unsupervised learning. So supervised learning is something, as I told, we have to give data as well as labels. As you can see in this left uppermost image, we have two kinds of data. This is the actual data. So as you can see, these are mixed labels in that, the red dots and the blue dots. So our model is already given data as well as label, and we are told to distinguish between this red and blue dots. So during the training phase, this dotted line as a decision boundary is identified by that model while training. So as we have given the label, only two classes are there, one on the left and one on the right, or blue or red, whatever we have given as labels. And whenever the next new data comes as this white dot, then it is labeled and given as an output as a blue dot. So this is the supervised learning workflow. How the unsupervised learning workflow works, we just give it random data, no labels. As you can see, all that dots are white. So during the training, the model has to segregate of its own, and he has given all the freedom. We can tell him how many classes we want, but it's not necessary, and it can tell you about how many classes it can segregate of its own. As you can see here, it has segregated the same data into 4 clusters. And now it's our job to identify what that clusters actually mean. In the supervised learning, we actually knew that this belonged to the red and blue, and what are the expected results. But in the unsupervised learning, we don't know, and we have to assume or give meaning to it once the clustering is done. Okay, so majority of time it's clear, particularly in a biological data, because we know and we can see things, but it's become a very difficult task if you apply the same techniques in kind of financial data or any engineering data. So this labeling part can be done, but it gives you much more granular approach to the data, and can tell you hidden relations between two parts of the data which you might not see by yourself by conventional statistics. So as you can see, the similar techniques is applied in these papers by Langs for the X-rays of the chest. And as you can see, it has applied this model and has segregated whether there is a tumor, not tumor, any particular kind of lesion from the ground truth, and segregated this kind of lesion. So the next time you see this kind of image on the right lower limb, you know what the actual meaning of this red black line, which we call as decision boundary, then the red zone and negative zone, and the positive zone on the right. So now you're aware of what these meanings are, and you will be better equipped while reading these papers. So now going forward, we will learn about another simple algorithm called as a random forest algorithm. So before understanding random forest, we should understand what a decision tree is. So as you can imagine, decision tree is something based on one decision taken after another. Like say, I will give you an example. Like if you want to decide whether you can surf on a beach today or not, there are multiple decisions which has to be taken before you reach to that conclusion. And if you want an ML model which tells you directly that whether you can jump into surfing or not, so this kind of trees can be helpful. So the first question which you need to ask whether is are you feeling like to go for surf or not? So that will be the first branch of the tree. The second branch might be whether the weather is permitting. Then the third branch might be whether the population or whether there is a free place for you to go or jump into. So this kind of different classes will be there, and at the end the decision will be made and the output will be given. So this one part of it is called as a decision tree, one decision after another, and it is bifurcating into different kinds of decision each time. Now for the complicated solution, this simple decision tree might not work because there might be hundreds of questions or hundreds of lines you might have to give answers to. Like as I told, the first question in this decision tree was whether you are comfortable going today or not. But the second line might be whether you have equipments available with you or not, and then how to procure the equipment. So this different decisions tree will be there one after another, giving you the final output as a combined results. So this whole tree is called as a random forest because it is just a different decisions tree working all together and then finally coming together, and by something called as a majority voting process, it gives you a final class whether you can go today for surfing or not. So similarly, these techniques can be applied for decision making during the diagnosis or prognostication during your patient's outcome and morbidity. So these were the few algorithms. If anybody has some questions, please raise your hands. Okay.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments or questions? Yeah, I have a couple. I'm not a neurosurgeon, but still, I'd like to kind of know the applications to a developer. Like, I don't know, most neurosurgeons don't have anything to do with their website, or but does AI help you develop a website of the content of your website? Is that something you know about?
Yeah. Yeah, it's becoming rampant actually, particularly this year. Since last 6 months, once GPT-4 is released, the content generation is as good as any human being. And now, like 2 months back, OpenAI released one modeling technique where you can feed it data. Like if you want to generate some kind of articles and you have if you have like Harrison's book, you can feed directly that whole book into that model and can ask the questions or ask him to generate the data or summarize some kind of topic for you. And as I shown you, it can generate beautiful images if you produce so definitely the content of the website can be generated. Now, the second part is the coding behind the model website. This also can be done with something similar of it, which are also based on GPT-based model and something called as a co-pilot. This helps a programmer to generate code. Like if I tell him that I want a Python code for addition of 2 plus 2, it will give me a code of that. So similarly, we can tell him more and more complicated things nowadays, like generate a page for me with this title as a name, this image as the background, and this text as a title. So definitely it's doable, but it will require some kind of connections from one part to the another. If you want to do it by yourself, but there are now websites also which are doing that for you also in the background. You just have to pay a small fee for modeling, and then all these things are integrated for you, and you just have to type whatever you want, and the page elements will be added to that page. Different page will be created. Everything will be done for you. So definitely simple websites can be done very easily with AI nowadays.
Well, you know, a website like Neurosurgical TV, I like to try to keep on top of what's going on as far as publishing in neurosurgery. So that could be done automatically, generation of new content in certain areas of neurosurgery, correct?
Correct, correct. So like if we give him like 10 papers related to neurosurgery, it can definitely generate a small talk for you to be published or to be spoken about. As you know, as you have seen with that captions, it can recognize the speech. There are similarly text speech generation model, which are also equally good and can produce human speech so believable that you might not even understand whether it's spoken by a normal human being or this kind of models.
Well, I certainly personally will use that. And we'll talk later about that. But I imagine any neurosurgeons watching that have a project website, it would help them to have an advisor, someone like you, that kind of would say, hey, just let me handle your project, your website, and we'll optimize it for artificial intelligence. And or
Exactly.
in fact, automate it. I mean, the automation part really makes it attractive
True.
because you don't have to physically go in there and pick an article here, pick an article there, or say on AI in neurosurgery. I guess you would arrange it so that you monitor the web for any new articles on neurosurgery and artificial intelligence. I mean, that's fantastic. So you don't have to look around the internet or put it in Google, the search term. You can have it generated by AI. That's for me, that would be fantastic. And we'll talk later about that. But anybody out there, feel free. Now, you got your email. Why don't you put your email in the chat? Um, Bushnan, can you put your email in the chat there?
Yeah. I will put up.
Yeah, oh, you already did? Okay. Just so if people want to get a hold of you to consult on their project. Um, so you mostly work in AI now. Do you go to the OR or you're kind of slowing down in the OR or?
Uh, no, I after coming back at home, most of the time I work in night on all these projects.
Oh, okay. So the daytime you have your regular job.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Very good.
After
Okay.
coming, like the day job is done, then at the night I do try to do all these things. So like two jobs at a time, I guess.
Yeah, busy guy.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know how we know if
Uh,
you have anybody active here. Ahmad, do you have any comments or questions? And I'll ask. Takes me a while to and yeah, we don't have any people here. But first of all, it's not Tuesday is the time that people I should know are working and doing other things. Weekends is a lot better, but we want to kind of get it going.
true.
And actually, I want to experiment with doing webcasts on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday because it's a slower day, and someone like me gets to experiment with putting three webcasts together. I've never done that before, although we don't have it this time. It's 2 days, and then you have emergency surgery on Thursday. But next week or Tuesday, but it allows me to see how it does if we put it in a playlist,
Yeah,
and especially a topic like this,
sure.
uh, where neurosurgeons don't really know what's going on, like me, they'd be able to say, "Hey, I'm going to sit down and watch all three. I got an hour now. I'm going to do it," and kind of fit it into their schedule. So
Uh,
don't be discouraged that we don't have a lot
yeah,
of people. There will be a lot of people, I can guarantee, that will watch this, and we'll build a community, hopefully, slowly, and just continue. And it'll
yeah.
always be
So,
archived, always be available.
yeah. So, should I continue?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So now we will go to little bits of maths, simple maths behind the AI. As we know, many of us might not be terrified of ghosts, zombies, but we might be terrified little bit of maths. So don't worry, it's very basic maths, which I will tell you to just understand what actually artificial neuron means. So as you can see on the left side of the screen, a simple equation of y, that is the output, is a summation of weights and whatever the inputs are given plus the bias. So what does the weight actually mean? What does the input actually mean? The input means whatever the values you are giving. Like as I told you, the height is the input. Then the weight is like what how much weight is applied and to that parameters. Like if there are two parameters like height as well as sex, then how much weight is applied for giving the output to that. And the bias is the offset from that thing. So this is the simplest this is in the simplest form what a single neuron means in terms of mathematics, thing. But the actual neural network consists of all these neurons which are connected with each other or are kept in parallel as well as in series, which gives you different formations of layers and the calculations to give you final output. As you can see, this is a single layer neural network where these different things are that white circles are the input. These weights are applied to that, the summation of it is done, and then we get an output what is required. So the another thing you should understand while understanding and how the learning process goes behind the models is to understand what actually the learning rate means. So imagine here that this is the output what is required to have a maximum efficient model, the bottom of the cave. So as you can see, as your model are learning each and every time we are going down towards the bottom of the valley to get your results. So the difference, as you can see, from this point to this point is the same. Although we are getting much closer and traveling a lot of distance, the actual distance on the x-axis is same. So this x-axis distance, what is covered in each step of learning, is called as a learning rate. Okay, so that is up to a trainer or a programmer to decide how much learning rate you're allowing that model to learn, like how fast you should reach to the bottom of the valley to get your results. By the way, reaching up to this bottom of the valley is called as a gradient descent, because you're descending along the slope in these terms to achieve a maximal solution from your data. If the learning rate is very high, as you can see from here, it will keep on jumping from one to another, and it might never reach the bottom of the valley. So if you have to decide this learning rate very slow. So one might think about like then the solution is just to keep learning rate very small, because then we will have always reached a bottom, although it might take more time. But that might not always be true. As you can see, if this is the curve, as I told you, the biological data, majority of the data is not linear. So if this is the curve, then you can see that no matter how we try, we will never reach this point of maximal safety if we start from here. Okay, so if we keep our learning rate very small, it will go from here till here, then here till here, and it will reach here. Okay, and it will never come out of it because our learning rate will never allow it to go out of this boundary. And the whatever the optimal solution is there, we have never reached. So in that case, the learning rate comes to our savior, because if we keep the learning rate high, then it can jump directly from here to here, then it can jump from here to here, and then it can jump from here to here, then it can jump from here to here, then here, here, and it can reach at the bottom of the optimal solution. So generally, we start a learning rate with a high value, and then gradually as the results got or the loss got decreasing, we reduce it slowly and get the optimal solution. So this is the complexity with just two parameters. Imagine if we add a third parameter, the complexity goes into three-dimensional set, and there will be valleys and peaks all over the place. And reaching this point is a path which has to be followed by that model while learning, and it's getting difficult by exponential values. So fourth value, fifth value, sixth value, the results get difficult and difficult. So the computation is increased with each part. Okay, so that's simple maths what you should understand. Now we will go to the deep learning algorithm and understand one simple model called as a convolutional neural network model. This is the vision model which we should implement to understand or analyze the images. As you can see on the left side, this is my area of expertise in modeling. I can tell you a lot about it, but I will simplify it. As you can see, the computer does not see image as we see. As you can see the robot image, it just see the number. Like although he written at 914224, actually the computer only sees 10101. So these numbers or images are then filtered through different parameters, and we get a single value which represents a small part of the image. Like this hand, as you can see on the right side, will represent only small point as we go down the modeling path. Each color and brightness will have different values. So these are the 4 layers in the basics, like RGB, and then the black and white layer. So that's why the 4 layers. So each CNN layer will have this kind of parameters. And as we go down, the learning will be done. As you can see now, this is the fully connected layers. We will see the implementation of this model tomorrow. So be there, and we will see how this actually matters in the long term. So this is the convolutional neural network model. As you can see, the image is on the left of 2, and our job is to produce an output of 2. So as I told before, the single layer of that represents a small part. So this is that one part, and we have multiple channels or layers of those part. Like here we have taken the 5 by 5 kernel and 24 layers in a single layer. So on after this, the various algorithms like max pooling, everything is applied, and we apply again and again a convolutional model to reach to that output. So we need not understand all these things, but many a times if we want to build models by ourselves to for our particular problem, then this kind of understanding helps. And at the end, we have to get an output with a sigmoid function with the fully connected layers. These images will show you. As you know, the only parameters which is exposed to us as a human is the input and the output, whatever is produced. Like we give the image of this on the left side, the 2, and the output what is given is the number 2. So, but we don't know what is actually happening in between. So this kind of parameters, we interpret these layers in between and identify what part of the images are given importance to. So this just helps us to unravel the black boxes of ML or AI models for our understanding. So we will see the implementation of this. So the another model, if we want to have implement memory into our model, we have to use something called as a recurrent neural network models, or LSTM, which have some kind of memory passing from one layer to the another, as you can see with this arrow. And there are these are all the hidden states, that H1, H2, H3, whatever, and only the output is given to us. So it's one step more complicated model from CNN. So these are the very few models which I should describe. The another part of this, the AI safety, like how we prevent AI from being manipulated. As I told you, like 2 or 3 parameters can only tell you whether you are able to generate the outputs or not. So adversarial agents can attack these models and give you inadequate results. And in health care system, this can have a very significant results on the patients directly. So these are the various steps. I will maybe explain you sometime else about these models, like gradient masking, defensive distillation, adversarial training, where we basically train our models to identify such attacks and modify them. So that's all for today. And we should not forget that although these ML and deep learning are very fancy terms to get you the output, we should always understand that behind all this, there is a simple statistics, what is going on. And if we don't understand the basics of statistics, all this means nothing. So thank you for having me here today, John.
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, it seems very usable. We just got to figure out how to use it. I know I just have a couple of questions myself. Now, spontaneously, the future of AI. Now, the neurosurgeon's in the operating room. He's taking a tumor out. He has a question. Will he be able to talk during it? It says, well, should I resect this acoustic neuroma aggressively or leave it alone? You know what I mean? You probably have a lot of questions during the operation, correct? No, do you use that to ask AI, like while you're operating, what should I do? Or
So
give you some history on the tumor or the variation of the tumor and your course of action? Do you ever use it for that, or do you envision using it like that?
It's glad you asked that same question. As you know, this models like having the knowing the history about the patient, reporting all that can give a predictive analysis of that same thing. But during the OT, we have to analyze actually what is happening and what the tissues are going, where it is going. So for that, tomorrow we will be seeing a whole lecture on that, how to identify and how I try to identify and answer the same question what you have asked today. So
Okay,
that gives you some kind of idea about whether I should go and resect that part or not.
right, right. And other questions too. During do you use AI now in the operating room? Do you use it like while you're operating or not yet?
So I used to use it when I was at my previous hospital, but this current hospital is not that much equipped with all the things which I require. So I analyze pre-operatively, but not during the OT because this hospital is a somewhat second, third tier hospital,
Oh,
and there
okay.
are not much facilities available.
What do you need as to start,
So
basically? What would you say you needed in the OR, in your operating room at your hospital?
So as simple as we can do a microscope with an analysis of images like hand, we can analyze with images or videos going on to understand whether you are fatigued or not. One kind of utility. Second kind of utility, whether the dissected tumor is high grade glioma, low grade glioma, that you can detect during the OT to understand where to proceed, where not to proceed. Uh, Third, during the OT, you can monitor, as I told, we have to see it as a whole soul problem about the patient, not from the legality to the insurances. So we can analyze the anesthesia machine itself and what are the parameters they are analyzing. And we can decide there and there itself whether it is safe to proceed for that kind of weight of the patient, that kind of bleeding of the patient with this kind of saturation and this kind of diseases. All these decisions can be analyzed all together, and you can you need not ask again and again to the anesthetist how much bleeding is done. It will tell you whether it's safe to proceed or not directly, considering not just the bleeding part but everything all together. So this kind of things can be applied in OT itself.
Well, this question may be a little basic for you, but being a non-neurosurgeon, what kind of questions do you have? As a neurosurgeon, you're in the operating room, you're dissecting, you're doing. What questions would you have? I'm sure there's a lot of questions you have during the operation. What are the main questions you think you might ask AI? Or you're going to cover that
So
tomorrow?
yeah, we can cover it tomorrow. Whole
Oh, okay.
section is there, but I can tell you a few things as I
I'm,
told.
I'm jumping
Uh,
ahead.
yeah, one of the basic fear in every neurosurgeon's mind is the side of tumor. Whatever you are operating, the lesion is on the same side or not. So we can have some kind of confirmation from AI during the OT with simple measures. Which will tell you, which will analyze all the things and whatever the checklist is followed or not, and it will tell you whether you are in the right zone or not. So that will be the first step from going onward. The second step, it can suggest and draws incisions about different kinds of tumor for you. So that will be the second thing where it can help. The third is about, as I told you, monitoring the patient's vital and blood loss. The third thing it can help you with the extent of the tumor, and whatever the tissue you are removing is a tumor tissue, or it just a gliosis around the tumor. So all these things can be measured, and these are important questions if you are operating.
Okay, now the neurosurgeon usually uses either the microscope or an endoscope, exoscope, correct?
Right.
Either one. Now, which do you use? Do you use more than the microscope or microneuroscope, or do you use the exoscope and endoscope screen?
As I told, 6 months back, I shifted to this hospital. They did not have a microscope with them. I recently 2 months, 15 days back, I purchased a microscope for them. So now I'm using microscope. But I have before that I have been daily using microscope as well as endoscopes in my setting. Like maybe 60% case, 60-70% cases microscope, 20% cases endoscope.
Okay, so would you see one system have an advantage over the other as endoscope versus microneuroscope? As far as AI, the place in AI in the future, do you see either of those methods advantageous or the same? They're both the same applications for AI, that is.
So as far as AI is concerned, it just needs data. Okay.
Okay.
So if the data is available, it doesn't care from where it is coming from. It just had to be trained on that part of the data. If it is coming from microscope, and if you want that kind of outputs, majority of time it will be able to do that. And even with the endoscope, if you are having images of clear quality and everything is good, even with endoscope, it will give you the same results. The advantages will come, as I told you, once there is an implementation of RL model, reinforcement learning model, for handling the tips of the endoscopes by itself. Then endoscope will have a lot of advantage over microscope, because microscope has a limited maneuverability as compared to the endoscope. So once that comes in terms of robotic hands, as we are already seeing in many of the places, so once that is implemented with RL, reinforcement learning, then it's become much easier to use endoscope rather than microscope, I guess. So in the future, endoscope has a brighter future in terms of surgeons, I guess, rather than microscope, but it won't lose its efficacy as a clear optical image. What we get from microscope is not comparable to endoscope as of today, even though there are 4K cameras, but all that still is a digital image. And we as a human can appreciate small details or small delays into that till today. So maybe it will change in the future, but as of today, both are good with AI, because it's just an image which is coming to the model.
Okay, would the AI be able to analyze an image interoperatively, like you're operating, you're looking at the field and you kind of want to get some information about something? Can AI analyze that image? I don't know if that's a good question.
Absolutely. That's what I proved in this paper, which we will be discussing tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Which I worked. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, try not to press you. Let me just put something up on this. Okay, hold on. Okay, I wanted to show you something here. Let me just share the screen. Oh, can you stop your screen sharing? I want to screen. Oh, I can get you off there. Okay. Yeah, can you see my screen or no?
Yeah.
Okay, there's your email. And I'm sure there are some neurosurgeons watching that are as confused as I am about the place in AI, but that's why we're here. We're here to learn. And this is a fantastic tool that we can do so. We can do so remotely with you. So, okay, very good. So you've already talked about what you're going to talk about tomorrow. Before we close, any parting questions or comments? Ahmad, are you there? I know he watches a lot in the hospital while he's
Yeah.
working, actually.
Yeah, one question is there by Oscar.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he has typed when I tried to search about the technical process to obtain your own data, DICOM images, I have noticed is a little difficult to obtain step to step. For example, in annotation process, how labeling, what kind of programming we can use to make the annotation task easier. Can you share some paper of it? Yeah, sure, Oscar. I will share some paper with you. It's a little bit more difficult to analyze DICOM images directly because DICOM image, although we say it is an image, it is not actually an image. It is a format on in which medical data is stored. If you read about what DICOM format is, you will understand. It stores all the patient's information, how the data is obtained, and then sequential image data is there. So that image first has to be converted into an actual image by some methods. Like if we are learning a Python, then you can use a model called as a PyDICOM, which will help you convert that DICOM format into its image, and then you can analyze it afterwards. So you cannot directly analyze the DICOM format. So I hope that answers your question.
Oh, okay, Oscar, sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Thanks, Oscar. And Ahmad is president of the Afghanistan Neurosurgery, and that's why I ask questions about developing countries. What do they need? Are you there, Ahmad? I think he may want to. He's working. Hello, Ahmad. How you doing? Welcome.
Hello, hello. Hello. Thank you, Professor John. Thank you, Professor Bosha. Very excellent presentation. Thank you very much. And we like to learn from you a lot. And it's like we are dependent on technology. And nowadays, this is important. Artificial intelligence is very helpful and important, and we are looking forward to learn from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thanks
sir.
for coming, Ahmad. You know, I mentioned to you that Bin Zhu, the noted neurosurgeon from China that specializes in bypass, cerebral bypass, he said one day out of the blue that artificial intelligence is the future of neurosurgery. And I didn't know what he was talking about. I'm kind of getting a clue now, but he really believes in it. And if he says it, I'm going to believe it. You know what I mean, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, okay, very good. This will be one part of three parts that are going to be put together in a playlist. So don't worry if you couldn't hang around or couldn't come today. It will be available forever on YouTube. Okay, very good. Okay, thanks everyone for coming, and thank you,
Okay.
Bushnan, for an excellent presentation. A lot of it I didn't understand, but I'll go over the tape. So, and we'll see you tomorrow. Okay, stick around. I'm just
I'll see
gonna
you.
stop recording. Okay, stick around.